Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Dan Heifetz, and I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are going over all the games from Sunday of Week 12. We're going to go through awards. We're going to go through everything. You can email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com for fantasy courts, email us for trivia, and all that stuff. We're going to go through all the awards, but first, DK, I think the Giants should have kept Saquon Barkley.
I think the deep irony of this whole thing, because it's really fun watching you melt down every Sunday or whenever we.
Oh, it is
whenever
fun.
we see
I'm glad
Saquon
you're having
Barkley
fun.
just absolutely bury team. I compared Saquon Barkley today to Mariano Rivera. He's just the team's closer now. He's the Eagles' closer. 75-yard touchdown to really ice the game in this one. Obviously, what he did last week was incredible. But the deep irony of the whole thing is, like, if he was still on the Giants, it wouldn't matter. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It wouldn't have mattered if
totally
you kept
agree.
him. He'd have the same amount of wins.
I totally agree. Yeah, Eagles won this game 37-20. Saquon Barkley had 255 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So plus 47 receiving. So he had 300. They were talking about how Saquon Barkley had gone over 200 yards from scrimmage for the first time in 5 years. And while they were talking about that, he went over 300 yards
302 yards from scrimmage is the 6th most in a single game this century.
I mean, is it the record for rushing yards in a game, like 292? He was close.
Yeah, 297. Yeah. Well, DK, I'm glad you're having fun. Craig, are you having fun? Are you having fun at me melting down every single week?
Yeah,
that Saquon
this is
Barkley
super
is just
fun.
otherworldly?
Because it's great. It's not just that. I mean, like you melting down is like a silver lining, to be honest, because just watching Saquon do this is the best. You know, he already has the most rushing yards he's ever had in his career this season.
Wow.
It's week 12. He already has the most rushing yards he's ever had.
Honestly, I don't even know. Yeah, the stat that blew my mind was the Eagles have the first 10 games Saquon Barkley played with the Eagles were the most rushing yards the Eagles had in any 10-game span in the entire history of the Philadelphia Eagles. That one didn't feel great. I have so many thoughts on this. I'm home for Thanksgiving. I'm in New York. I'm surrounded by my delusional Giants family that is we're superstitious, but frankly, the games don't even matter anymore, that we're not even doing the superstitious shit. But to your point, I agree that, like, it is really sad that the Giants would not have any difference in record if they had Saquon.
No.
Which actually, I think, as bad as the Giants played today, I think how good Saquon is with the Eagles, it makes me feel even worse about how bad the Giants are.
Yeah.
That this individual had no impact on how the Giants played.
It's like when you know you're the problem in a relationship and then you break up and then your partner goes on to do great things. And you're like, I guess I'm happy it ended because they reached their potential, but also it makes me realize even more that I was the problem.
Oh my God. It's so bad. Okay. So
can't we just celebrate it? This is the perfect like marriage of running back and offensive line and quarterback. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Is this the most obvious?
Derrick Henry and him are the two best stories of the running back position this year.
Well, I was just about to bring up, DK. In general, this has been such a ridiculous year for veteran running backs on new teams. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry on Baltimore, Josh Jacobs on the Packers, huge day today. Joe Mixon's had a huge year with the Texans.
True. Even
throwing Tony Pollard's been really good this year. It's crazy how good. I mean, half the time, 27, 28-year-old running backs getting traded, let alone 30-year-old for Derrick Henry. Like that, it never works. And they all worked this year. It's unbelievable. This is the most outlier running back year ever. None of them have gotten hurt, knock on wood. But it's like there's such hindsight as 2020, I think, in fantasy this year, looking back through the lens of right now. It's like, oh my God, Saquon Barkley's on the Eagles. Why wasn't he the first overall pick?
Right.
Derrick Henry's on the Ravens. Why wasn't
he wasn't going to catch passes or whatever. Yeah.
And he was going to get sniped at the goal line. Too bad he's scoring 70-yard touchdowns.
I think the thing with, you're right about fantasy. I do think this is one of the flukiest fantasy years ever, just because all the receivers have been hurt for like a little, and the running backs are like 18 of the top 20 running backs are pretty healthy. It's like Christian McCaffrey and Isaiah Pacheco got hurt. Taylor missed 3 games, and it's like the other 17 are pretty damn healthy. ETN, who honestly you're better off with him not playing. And so it's like pretty healthy at running back. But I will say, in terms of real NFL, I do think, and fantasy too, I think this is a great example this offseason of everything you just said, Craig, and all the veterans switching teams and being good, or the old guys staying good, James Conner, Kamara, who didn't switch teams. It's a really good example of when wisdom becomes conventional wisdom, it might actually be time to fade the wisdom. It became a received wisdom, because frankly, what happened was the smartest teams in the league bought the dip on running backs, and the value cratered. And it made sense like 7 years ago. Hey, we shouldn't be giving Aaron Jones an extension 4 years ago or whatever, 5 years. You know what I mean? When it might not make any sense to pay running backs more than your top receivers. So running back compensation completely plateaued. And then I think what happened was smart teams looked at the market this season and were like, why the fuck is Jerry... Sorry, we're just going to keep... I can't keep myself from cursing. Why the fuck is Jerry Jeudy making $55 million over 3 years if I can get Saquon Barkley for 36?
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense. The rate... Like, think about that. Like, Jerry Jeudy signed for 15, almost $20 million more than Saquon. Who do you think is more impactful as an NFL player? Saquon Barkley or Jerry Jeudy? For the love of God.
This is the 1 week where you kind of can't say that, but yeah. All
right, fine, whatever.
Jerry Jeudy was hugely important.
Fine.
But yes, obviously you're right. Obviously.
We'll get to
obviously
him.
You're right.
I hate Jerry Jeudy. But no, yeah, I know you played well. But fine, I do.
Jerry
but like
Judy's
Derrick
like,
Henry
what
is
the
the
fuck?
same thing.
Jerry Judy's the clown from Happy Gilmore for Heifetz.
I hate
that clown.
It is. But yeah, I feel like I get hit in the... Saquon got hit in the balls, and I was like, yeah, man, I get it. I feel like I got hit in the balls in this game. But the other thing I have to say, because I'm ranting and I'm home, and I was amazed as the Giants were down 30-0 that my brother... I forgot what real fandom's like. Because my brother was like, can you turn the volume up? And I'm like, it's the fourth quarter. And it was like 30-0. And the Bucks had the ball. And I was like, do you actually still need to see how this plays out? And he was like, can you turn it up? And I couldn't. I don't know. I've been so beaten down by like this Giants experience. But we talked about this a lot in my house today. And like where I've come to and where I'm coping, and I'm sorry for all you two just hearing me rant about Saquon Barkley. Where I've come to is the Giants screwed up because what we just said, it was so goddamn cheap to keep him. It was $12 million, and they spent the Saquon Barkley savings.
It's like what they spent it on was,
Drew
really
Lock,
tough.
who got $5 million to not be the backup quarterback after all this. They played DeVito anyway, and then Devin Singletary. Not playing for the Giants right now. Two people who are not starting for the team was plus $1 million was the Saquon money. That's number one. Yeah. And I will say that the Jeff Van Gundy rule that your best players should set a culture of intolerance for anything that gets in the way between you and winning. That's what's happening in Philly right now, where Saquon, team captain, let go, huge Kobe guy, work ethic is crazy. And if you don't even believe in any of that shit, then they should have traded him at last year's deadline. Instead, they did the middle, insulted him, let him go in free agency for almost nothing. Christian McCaffrey got like a second, a third, a fifth, a sixth. The Giants didn't even trade Saquon. They let him leave so we can get like a fifth rounder in this year's draft. Dude, I hate this team. I hate the Giants. You know what? Honestly, Saquon, thank God he got out of this tire fire. And like, you know what? He's better off. He didn't need to go down with our ship. Good for him. The Giants are
this
more.
Feels like this is like football therapy right now.
I'm glad you landed there. I think that is the right take to end on. I'm glad he's gone. He's better off. Fuck the Giants. I think is the right way to look at it. It's even funnier that Tommy DeVito's playing like shit this year. When if he just did that last year, they'd have Jaden Daniels right now.
Dude,
and they probably would have kept Saquon.
They probably would have kept
You'd have
Saquon.
Jaden Daniels and Saquon right now if Tommy DeVito didn't get hot
Oh
last year.
my God. Talk about sliding doors. That's
Fuck.
tough.
You're definitely right. They would have kept Saquon.
Heifetz,
Jaden Daniels.
Going back to your point about your brother being like, hey, can you turn the volume up? There is a level of fandom that I don't possess in any sport with any team that your brother has and that some people have. And it reminded me today, I was watching the Patriots game and the Patriots got destroyed by the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at 28-0. It was a 25-point game, 30-point game. And Drake May throws some garbage deep 50-yard touchdown to whoever and they score. And it cuts to two Pats fans in the stadium. And they high five like they just won the Super Bowl. And they hugged each other. They're decked out in gear. Front row.
That score put them down 31-7.
That is a level of passion and enthusiasm that I will never possess. What the
Who
are those
San
people?
Diego State basketball? Come on.
If they're down 30 and they hit a three, and I'm like, nice. That'll make them. What the fuck?
I get mad when the players celebrate that stuff. Never mind
funny.
me celebrating this stuff. Like Wan'Dale Robinson got a first down 30, and he was like, first down. And I was like, shut the fuck up, Wan'Dale.
Are those people just like eternally happy people? And is that really what the answer is? They're just like happy to be there and life is great for them no matter what? Should I be striving to be that way?
You probably should be.
Yeah.
I think it'd probably be a better life. Yeah, I watch sports a lot, and a lot of times I wish I was different. I wish you're different. I don't know. I wish I was different, man. I don't know. The Giants really, dude. Anyway, that's all right. But the other thing I want to mention from this game tonight other than Mike Tirico tearing his Achilles, which is like my greatest fear now that I'm on the precipice of 30. I'm terrified of tearing my Achilles. But other than that, what's with all the people on the sideline just getting absolutely annihilated?
People, two guys on the same drive. One, it was like the guy that holds the big sound cone thing, like got taken out hard.
We heard it really well. Like you heard the crunch.
He got like, and he
dedicated his life to capturing sound one last time.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
It's like the guy who like records
the
the volcano erupting for one last time. And then there's the other guy, like 2 plays later, he's standing with his face facing outward. He's like a security guard, like watching out for people like running onto the field or whatever. So he can't even be looking. And AJ Brown of all people I think Puka ran into the other guy, and then AJ Brown ran into this guy. I was like, dude, those are like, or maybe I forget who it was, but
yeah, we really see like a Paul George-esque injury like every 3 weeks from some poor soul.
It's unbelievable.
The second guy, like,
unbelievable.
fell, he like got hit at 100 miles an hour and then fell head first into the padded like side of the stadium. What if that had been like a brick wall or something? The guy might be dead.
Dude, I don't know. And Jackie, my fiance, has a mental list in her head of which players help those people up and which players ignore them. And like and I know they're playing football, but it is weird when AJ Brown like destroys a guy going on 8, like he's running like 25 miles an hour into some like nice 65-year-old man who's like standing behind us and he's a security guard, and like that guy just goes upside down and then just like, all right,
I think sometimes they don't realize it. I think they don't know who they hit sometimes.
Well, they know they hit. They know they obliterated somebody.
They're playing a contact sport. They probably.
I'm not blaming AJ Brown. It's just funny to watch someone do that to another guy.
Honestly,
just like walk
so
away.
Callous.
If you help them, if you help them up, maybe that's soft. Like maybe I don't want that in my favorite player. You know,
right? It's like you want him to be a little crazy.
Yeah,
dude. The Bears Vikings game
George
in
Pickens
overtime.
Isn't picking anyone up?
No,
Pickens. He's nuts. No,
he got in a fight.
Bears Vikings in overtime. The guy holding the chain got obliterated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they there was such a long delay. The ref went on mic and was like, there is a timeout for tending to an injury to an official. And everyone's like, boo! Oh my God.
Speaking of that, did anyone see Gladiator?
I did.
I feel like we're just watching a gladiatorial sport.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just
gladiatorial.
the modern version. We just want blood. Bloodlust.
Unbelievable.
All right. People are so fucking mean. The people in the stands. You know what's funny? I went and saw Gladiator 2 this weekend. I was down in Long Beach.
Like? Do you like it?
That's beside the point. My point is there was some guy just fucking talking the whole time. He just didn't give a fuck. He did not give a fuck.
That's the worst.
People were shushing him, and it was him and his buddy. Even in the last minute of the movie, it's like this like quiet, not somber, but like a serious moment.
Hands in the weed or whatever.
Yes.
I didn't see
it. It's like hands in the gravel. And he just goes,
soldier of Rome, honor him.
And he just goes, bah! He just screamed out like to scare people in the last 2 minutes of the movie in this quiet moment. And I'm like, what kind of person are you when you go home? Do you have any friends? Do people enjoy? Does anybody like you? Did you go home and you're like, I was a good time at the movies. I did a good job.
Well, then he went to the Patriots game the next day, and then he was high-fiving his friend when they were down 31-7.
Man,
he's living a blissful life.
That's who you want to be. Again,
that guy flew out and was booing the ref who got hurt today, I think.
Oh, my God. Dude, people are nuts.
People are nuts.
All right, people are nuts. All right, let's get to the winners and losers from the day, other than that guy.
Hate that guy.
I want to start I hate that clown. My big winner from Sunday of Week 12 is the NFL.
They did it again, those sons of bitches.
I think today, they did it again. Those sons of bitches. Sandbagging son of a bitch. I think today is why the NFL makes $17 billion a year. Not even necessarily because like Taylor Swift is dating the tight end for the team that wins the Super Bowl back-to-back years. It's because the games today mostly sucked.
Like on paper, they sucked.
On
the
paper,
matchups.
entering the weekend, awful. The early games, the 1 p.m. Eastern games, 3.5 quarters sucked. Endings of Dallas, Washington was electric, and the ending of Bears Vikings was electric. And
Panthers,
I was sitting
Chiefs?
there. We were just
Titans,
Panthers, Chiefs, the
Texans?
worst team. Yeah,
all
Panthers,
of them were
Chiefs. We were. I mean, DK, you could have got your second house.
I know,
if
dude.
you know,
if I would have made that
DK.
bet, if I would have made that bet, I would have
DK.
been sweating that ending so hard.
Why?
Oh,
you
yeah.
want a house. If you just
Scared money don't make house.
100%, scared money don't
Could
earn
have
a
had
house.
2,800 extra square feet. God.
If you just didn't
God,
watch
come
the
on,
game
insane.
and you went apple picking, came home and checked your phone, you're like, oh, great, the Chiefs won. As I thought,
exactly.
as I expected, I have now a second house.
So I cannot get over the NFL. We have to start that Washington Dallas game though.
Mm-hmm.
The first 55 minutes, there was one touchdown. And then the final 5 minutes, there were 6 touchdowns.
What is the deal with that? It's so funny how the NFL is like that.
Dude, these teams suck. I don't know. But the fourth quarter had 41 points. Dallas won over Washington 34-26 ultimately. It's a lot to this game. There's Washington fraud watch, which I want to get to in a moment. But I have to start with the Kevontae Turpin kickoff return touchdown where he fumbled the ball, did the spin move,
Deshaun Jackson,
took 5 guys out of the
2.0.
play, and then all right. I want to know because I'm not very emotionally I'm very that's the worst moment of my life. But
right. Because it came against the Giants.
But it did remind me of that play a lot.
It was like almost identical. Obviously, I think the Deshaun one was a punt return, but like same deal. Like
yes, it was a punt. Matt Dodge should have kicked the fucking thing out of bounds. Tom Coughlin told him to kick it out of bounds. He didn't fucking kick it out of bounds, Matt. What the fuck?
Heifetz is in New York. You could tell.
I don't remember.
But yeah, like the same deal. Like he fumbled it, had to go back for it, and then kind of like stood there for a second, and then just shot out of a cannon. Gone. Turpin did like a little spin move, which was like a little flare on the Deshaun Jackson thing, and then just ran away from everybody. He wasn't even close.
I almost think the move might be to purposely muff receiving the ball.
It throws people off.
Yeah, it changes the physics of the play for some reason, and it gives you the right lane or something like that. I don't know what it is, but that is what unlocks
I think
something.
It's like a bit, but I think you're right, Craig. You know what I think happens is that on punt returns, there's like lane discipline.
Yeah, right.
You're basically, it's like fan
They're
out.
like sharks in the water.
And then it's like, ball!
Sharks, yeah, there's a ball. And then everyone's like, get the ball!
Just abandoned their lanes.
Yeah, they're like the dog from Up. It's like, squirrel! And then everyone freaks out, and now everything's open.
Squirrel! No, that's exactly what happens. No, honestly, that should be a thing.
DK.
Yeah.
I want to move up. I want to take fart or Shart, bring it up to the top of the show here.
Yeah.
Because this is a prolonged fart we're dealing with in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think's going on here? This team has lost 3 straight games. Is this just one of those really long farts, or did the Commanders shit their pants?
Shoot, that's tough. I think. Oh my God! I think I think it's closer to a Shart. This is their 3rd straight loss. This loss was especially bad to a Cowboys team that absolutely had been unraveling over the last few weeks. Cooper Rush, quarterback. The defense couldn't stop anybody. Heifetz has spouted off this stat. This is obviously not in Dallas, but it was like 6 straight games with 20 point.
The Cowboys have 6 straight home games where they were down 20
which has never happened to any team ever.
No other teams had 4.
Like the Cowboys are like a disaster, and the fact that Washington couldn't beat Dallas in this game is really, really concerning.
When the Cowboys played the Eagles, Cooper Rush had 45.
I think my favorite thing is when good teams lose to disasters. That's just like the best situation.
Right.
There's a couple of those today.
I think the Commanders still have they're a wide variance team. I still think they can definitely catch fire and get this thing back on track. But I went back and looked at their wins this year. Their only quality win, I think, especially in retrospect, is against the Cardinals, who are now 6-5. The other teams they've beaten this year. The Giants, twice, who are 2-9. The Bengals, who are 4-7. The Browns, who are 3-8. The Panthers, who are 3-8. And the Bears, who are 4-7. The losses, Bucks, Ravens, Steelers, Eagles, and now Cowboys. I think we got over our skis a little bit with how excited we were about the Commanders early on. And it was kind of like the Saints deal, except for extended several weeks because, they were just playing really bad teams for the most part. That being said, I do think this team could still catch fire. We saw this in the fourth quarter. They absolutely came back. I think Jaden Daniels had 3 points in fantasy at halftime and ended with 40.
Yeah.
So obviously they can, I don't know. They have the talent. They have the explosiveness, and when things kind of start clicking, they're really good. But this is really not going well. I think the shine is wearing off of Cliff. He's still doing the thing where McLaurin, for the most part, is just on one side of the field. Like, even if they're like shadowing McLaurin, like they don't even need to shadow him if they just line their best guy up on the other side of the field and like whatever. So I don't know. I think that the shine is coming off for sure.
I think it's a huge Shart for Washington, an absolutely massive Shart.
And I think that this,
it is a Shart. It's undoubtedly a Shart for Washington. And frankly, this is exactly what's this is the cliff. This is the Cliff Kingsbury halfway through the season hits the cliff. Yep. And again, I went to True Media and all the advanced stats back it up, but the stat that frankly hits it the most just wins it like win-loss percentage. First 7, if you just look at on True Media, you can look up every game or every season Kingsbury, not just a coach, but a coordinator. So all the Cardinals years, Washington, etc. In the first 7 weeks of the season, Cliff Kingsbury has won 65% of his games in the NFL. 65%. For reference, that's basically Bill Belichick with the Patriots. 65%. From week 10 on, Cliff Kingsbury has won 25% of his games in the NFL, which that's what the Giants' record is right now. Like 2-8 entering today. The Jaguars, 2-8. Like that's the Jaguars are like a 25% win team. So like Cliff Kingsbury's Bill Belichick in the first half, and then the Jaguars. So again, we were wondering, is this going to happen again? And there's all these reasons for it, but basically the idea is he does a tremendous amount of schematic innovation in the offseason, doesn't expect it to be like Formula One, where it's like Formula One, the car in the first week of the season is tinkered every week. It's not going to win the race. The car that comes in the first place in the first week of the season will come in last in the final race. You're tinker throughout. Cliff doesn't do that. Jesse's producing this episode. I have a clip I wanted to show you guys. You haven't seen this, but this is Cliff Kingsbury talking about fading in the second half like 3 days ago.
I'm not saying this is happening this year, but historically your offenses have declined a little bit in the second half of seasons. Are you aware of that, and is it important for you to like break that trend?
I would have to see the what you're talking about historically, like the references, but yeah, I don't have any plans to do anything to break that trend that I know of. Yeah.
What?
This dude
doesn't know
20
people.
He did, dude. This is college too. Texas Tech. Cliff Kingsbury, 2013 started 7-0, finished 1-5. 2015 started 5-2, finished 2-5. 2018 started 5-0, finished 0-5. This is his whole fucking career.
You know, I googled when the best time to visit Thailand is, and it says November to March, dry season. So there's a chance that he wants to coach in when it's not a great time to visit Thailand. Around the wintertime, he's like, all right, I don't want to make the playoffs. I want to take a trip. Look, I get it. He wants vacation. You know the other thing though, Heifetz? This is more specific to this season, but like DK, you were saying like, well, we probably should have seen this coming and not gotten so over our skis just in enthusiasm. All their third down and long and fourth down conversion stuff was running at such a ridiculous clip. Anything was going to regress. Weeks 1 through 9, when they were 7-2 before this 3-game losing streak started, they were number 1 in third and longs in the league. And they were number 1 in fourth downs in the league. They were perfect.
They converted like their first like
11. They were 11 for 11 on fourth downs.
Yeah, like
in the first 9 weeks.
Absolutely not.
Since then, over their 3-game losing streak, they are 5th worst on fourth down and 5th worst on third and long.
God, when the aggression hits, man, it's tough.
I think this season reminds me a lot of, you know what season was very similar to that? Was Carson Wentz in the Eagles in 2017.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Entourage season 8 when he dates Sasha Grey. And I was like, yeah, look, it doesn't always, sometimes it doesn't work.
Super similar. Well, Cliff Kingsbury also kind of had his own, era doing that kind of stuff. I don't know. But so the only other thing I'll say about this game, what would we have said if the kicker had made that extra points in this game and Jaden Daniels just hit a Hail Mary to Terry McLaurin? Like, again, they had to go 86 yards in 20 seconds.
That was the worst
Jaden Daniels
piece of
did it on one play
I've ever seen in my life.
Terry McLaurin wasn't touched. They go 86 yards. They had 20 seconds to go 86 yards. They did it in one play. Terry McLaurin wasn't touched. 8. I don't know if that's ever happened.
There was like 7 guys around him when he caught it, and none of them touched him.
I've never seen a play like that where you need to go 80 yards and you catch the ball at like the 40-yard mark and then you run 40 more against prevent defense. I was thinking about that 30-second stretch might be the most improbable 30 seconds in NFL history. If you think about it, an 86-yard touchdown with 30 seconds left against prevent defense is like less than 1% chance you score, right? Mm-hmm. Then they score. Now you have an extra...
1 in 10,000.
Sure. Then you have an extra point to kick. Once again, less than a 5% chance of that missing. Okay. And then even the next play is an onside kick returned for a touchdown. What are the odds of that happening? Like those 3 back-to-back are like 1 in 10 million that could happen.
Probably, and then 90 seconds before that was Kevontae Turpin dropping the ball, running back to get it, and then not getting touched on the way to the end zone.
Like literally 3 plays in a row were like winning the lottery.
Yeah, seriously.
Every time.
That's a great point. Yeah. If they would have won, though, it would just been like more of the like, this is the team of destiny. You know, like, they're just
now
freaking
I'm like, man,
really was...
if Noah Brown dropped that ball in week 7 or whatever it was, we'd really be feeling shitty about this team.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I mean,
really
look,
true.
they're still 7-5.
It should probably be. They should be 6
I like
and 6.
what Craig said.
Yeah.
I like what Craig said. But speaking of the Bears, though, that's the other team who, again, like I thought, you look at the rookies. I thought Caleb Williams played really well against the Bears.
He's the opposite
for the Bears
of the team
today.
Of destiny, whatever the
Yeah, it's a team of absolute, the team of despair. Bears lost to the Vikings 30-27. Caleb's like Sisyphus because he's getting closer with the rock going uphill. Because last week, Caleb got like division rival playing the Packers. Caleb leads the drive to like field goal range, and then the Bears get the kick blocked. This week, same thing. All right, I couldn't believe this stretch. Caleb Williams down 11 points under the 2-minute warning. 11 under the 2-minute warning. Gets the touchdown. Gets the 2-point conversion. The Bears get the onside kick. Caleb gets the Bears into field goal range. Caleb spikes the ball to give them time to kick the field goal. Bears make the field goal. Go to overtime. And then the Bears, who've now been on the field for like 20 minutes, and then the chain gang guy was like obliterated, so the shit was like 25 minutes of real time. Then they're not able to punt, and then the Vikings never give him the ball back, and they win the game. And I was like, damn, Caleb actually has a hint of Drake May where he's playing really well. Not today for Drake May, but like they're playing and they're losing, so maybe he's doing his job. But I thought this was the best game, even though they lost. I thought this was actually Caleb's best game.
You might have already said it, but like the Bears, this whole like slide started in that like improbable Hail Mary loss to the team of destiny, remember? But yeah, I thought he looked great, man, especially considering it was against this Vikings defense, which has really confounded quarterbacks all season long. He looked really good. He was, I think in the first half, he had like 3 or 4, just the reason he was picked number 1 overall, the type of throws he was making in that first half in particular were like, holy shit, like only a few, you very rarely see rookies make throws like that. So, I thought he played pretty well. He had like that sack he took in overtime was regrettable, for sure.
Yeah,
but
he was a heat check.
But I think overall you got to feel pretty good about where he is if you're the Bears. Obviously losing at this point, I mean, yeah, I just feel bad for Bears fans at this point. But overall, like things are going in the right direction with Caleb Williams, I think.
The throw he had to DeAndre Swift was one of the 5 best throws of the entire season. I couldn't believe he physically with the athleticism to do that. And then also the touchdown he had to DJ Moore that was able to get them closer to overtime was a screen that doesn't look like anything crazy, but like he went to the line and he changed the protection. The Vikings had like 6 guys in the line of scrimmage, and he changed the protection. I think he changed the call. Like it was like the IQ again. What he's allowed to do is incredible. Brutal, but yeah, Bears. Jesus, Craig, who else do you have as a loser on Sunday, week 12 here?
So it's been 10 games since CJ Stroud big broed Caleb Williams, and in those 10 games, CJ Stroud has 11 touchdowns, 9 picks. I don't think the Texans are right. They lost today to the Titans, 32-27. Mm-hmm. The Texans are, we always say, I love this, the term an unserious team. The Texans look like an unserious team. This week they had 11 penalties, which was first of any in the league. They sacked Will Levis 8 times and had a pick 6 and lost.
How many? Talking about winning the lottery, how many times has that ever happened?
Yeah, they sacked Will Levis 8 times and picked him off for a touchdown and lost the game. They had what would have been a game-winning touchdown to Nico Collins for 30 yards. That was called back because of an illegal shift. 2 guys were in motion.
Oh, God.
And the game ended because Stroud ran out of bounds and got a safety. And that pretty much sealed the game. And I just think Stroud's like mentally in a weird spot.
He's missing throws that he doesn't usually miss.
I heard the announcer today said the term arm arrogance. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I think Stroud is like making it hard on himself. I think he's trying to thread the needle like Stafford style on a lot of these throws and almost, I feel like he's trying to prove that the hype he got last year and the hype he gave himself, like in the offseason, the way he treats everyone, like I feel like he already cemented himself as like one of the guys. And he's not really playing that way right now. And it's compounding and it's getting worse. And he's like in his own head. I know the offense and Slowick and everything doesn't really help. The offensive line's not great, whatever. But I think Stroud is like making it way too hard on himself right now.
My intrusive thought, I don't believe this at all. But my intrusive thought was that CJ Stroud was outplayed today by Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis. I really thought that at moments today. I think you're totally right, Craig. I think you're right because I agree. Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, I think is like lightly sabotaging. You know, the rest of development, like light.
Yeah, it's not like light sabotage. Waldron.
No, it's not. Never go full Waldron. It's like a half Waldron. But there are also times where you're right. I think that Stroud, again, doing the podcast. I'm never drafting a quarterback who does a podcast ever again. That's a tattoo. If you do podcasts, especially if you're a rookie, if you film anything after your rookie year, I'm not.
Does any other quarterback in the league have a podcast? A starter?
Closest is probably Rodgers, man.
But no other quarterback has a podcast, right?
No, not to my knowledge.
Yikes.
Stroud, the podcast is a huge
That's
red
a big,
flag.
honestly.
Orlovsky. Stroud to Orlovsky today.
I'm disappointed in the three of us for not picking up on that in the offseason, that you never draft a quarterback who got a podcast after their rookie season.
That would have been a good hot take.
Podcasters are not athletic. Once you do a podcast, you lose your athleticism.
It's like it's similar to like doing too many. It's like going the Baker Mayfield route where you say yes to every commercial you're offered when you're a rookie, and then like if you have a sophomore slump, like it looks really bad.
5 teams later, you get it back.
I cannot get over the fact that Will Levis took 8 sacks, threw a pick 6, and won. He had 123 passer rating. Will Levis, like none of that makes sense to me. I don't even know how that works. Like how in the hell did he do that? 123 passer rating after taking 8 sacks and throwing a pick 6? That doesn't compute.
I think Stroud is officially the biggest bust in fantasy. At the quarterback position.
Right.
Yeah, I think so, because I think even Mahomes delivered today. I think Mahomes is just kind of like if you take him really high, but I agree that Stroud, like again, that's why we were super out on Stroud ahead of the season. We were like, there's no way he's going to deliver on the hype, but he's been way worse.
Mahomes is climbing back up the ranks. I think he's like the QB 12 or something right now. It's fine. Here are the only quarterbacks that CJ Stroud is outscoring this year on a per game basis. Bryce Young, Jameis Winston, Gardner Minshew, Andy Dalton, Deshaun Watson, Will Levis, Joe Flacco, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. Those are the only players he's outscoring. All those guys suck.
It's not great. Not a great list.
Oh, man.
DK, who's your winner for today?
I say this not super confidently, but the Seahawks, the first place Seahawks. The Seahawks are in first place.
The first place.
Is it another familiar feeling of misery after this win, or no?
No, I felt this one wasn't quite as bad as they normally are.
A joyful 16-6 victory,
Geno Smith,
just full of joy.
He did throw like an atrocious pick after, like where they were driving down the field and like they would have pretty much sealed the game with even a field goal, and then he threw a pick in the end zone. So that was kind of annoying. But overall, the Seahawks came back and they played pretty well. And like defensively, I think is where I'm most excited about the Seahawks right now, because I think it's just kind of proof of concept that the Mike McDonald signing, or whatever you want to call it, hiring, was a good decision. It's like the defense is working now. For the last 3 weeks, even in that loss 3 weeks ago to the Rams, like I thought the defense was pretty good. And now they've beaten the 49ers and the Cardinals back-to-back games. They're in first place in the division. They basically shut the Cardinals offense down. The Cardinals could not run the ball, which was really encouraging because they're a pretty strong run team. Like they do a very good job of like marrying the run game with the pass game. Late in the game, the Seahawks weren't giving up any big plays for the most part. They basically were just doing the thing where it's like force Kyler to dump it off. This is why like Trey McBride had like 11 or 12 catches. So I don't know. In the course of like 3 weeks, I've gone from like the Seahawks fans have gone from like we should just rebuild. Maybe this wasn't the right hiring. Everyone's missing Pete Carroll to like we're back, baby. Their Seahawks are in first place, playoffs, Super Bowl. I don't know.
Sports fandom is unlike anything else.
Seriously,
it's a disease.
It is 100%.
Well, fanatic. The word fanatic.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, speaking of which, all right, the I Am Become Death Oppenheimer Award for the player who went nuclear. I mean, it has to be Saquon, right?
Yeah. Should we do honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Well, first, Saquon had 46 fantasy points today, and I just had to shout out the only person who has more fantasy points than Saquon. That's in full PPR, but still, The only person who has more full PPR fantasy points than Saquon in the entire season is Lamar Jackson.
I mean,
Saquon has more than every other quarterback, every other position, more than Jamar Chase, more than everybody.
I mean, I think he had like 42 in half PPR. It's ridiculous. I'm going to give mine to Josh Jacobs, who got overshadowed today by Saquon Barkley. But until 5 p.m. Pacific, this was Josh Jacobs' day, kind of. 3 touchdowns, and they killed the Niners 38-10. 106 yards, 3 touchdowns. Number 2 running back on the day behind Saquon. Also the number 2 running back over the last 5 weeks behind Saquon Barkley. He's been awesome. He killed the Niners today. Like every single 3rd and 4, Josh Jacobs was doing everything. Spinning, juking, hurdling. He's awesome. Very happy for him. Again, the vets on new teams.
Spinning,
you know what? I'm not going to lie.
I
liked Jacobs entering the season. I was a little off-put by a running back wearing 8.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to make of that. And every time he gets the ball, I know that his number's 8, but every time he gets the ball, I'm kind of like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
I'm like, why is a running back wearing 8? But I still think that's why I didn't score a touchdown for like 5 weeks. But all the touchdowns then are just like absolutely piling on now. DK, who's your Oppenheimer?
I want to give some props to Jordan Addison, former Bolitnikoff winner that Heifetz just simply does not care about whatsoever.
I don't know why I was so mean to him, because I actually kind of do like Addison. I think I was just really mad that he didn't deliver for a couple weeks. I was a little harsh on him. Jerry Jeudy, I hate for real. Addison, I was
that one you feel in your heart. That one was
no. I really hate you. Addison, I was being mean.
Anyway, Addison 8 catches, 162 yards and a touchdown today. 5th. I think I looked this up. I could have missed 1 or 2, but the 5th most yards by a receiver in any game this year. Jamar Chase had 264 yards in week 10, which is insane. Jamar Chase had 193 in week 5, another one that's insane. Jackson Smith-Njigba with 180 and Juwan Jennings with 175. Those are the other guys. Those are the only receivers that have had more yards in a single game than Jordan Addison did today.
Dude, I think there was a point where Jordan Addison had 120 and the other Vikings had like 20.
Yeah, there was, and this to me is like why I wanted to give him a shout, is because I think, and I've said this a lot, I think it's so important to have a really good number 2 in the NFL, because sometimes defenses just do a really good job of blanketing your number 1 guy. That was exactly what the Bears did today. Justin Jefferson didn't have his second catch until like really late in the 4th quarter.
You got to get yourself a T. Higgins.
Yeah, 100%.
Unless you're the Bengals, in which case you got to get rid of T.
Fast.
And I recognize that like Addison has been pretty touchdown dependent in fantasy over the first 2 years of his career, but since the start of 2023, he's averaged 11 points per game in half PPR. Rashee Rice has averaged 11.3 points per game in half PPR. Like he's like on that track. He's averaged more points than Zay Flowers, Garrett Wilson, Tank Dell, Chris Olave, George Pickens, Drake London. In that stretch, he's averaged more points per game than all those guys. And I think no one really talks about Jordan Addison at all. And I don't know. I just wanted to like recognize him because I think he's like a good little player. He's a really good number 2. He's not going to be a number 1 probably, but this is a former Bolitnikoff winner who was extremely productive in college. He's a good route runner. He makes plays down the field, and I thought he was awesome today. So
you just want to give him his flowers.
Yeah, exactly. I want to give him his flowers.
Give him his
not
flowers.
Zay Flowers.
No.
So it's so over. We're so back. Craig. Who's so back?
Like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I started Jalen Waddle today.
Yes, that's good.
And I still might lose, but I felt so vindicated. It's all worth it. 11 weeks of battling in the muck, in the mud for this day. Jalen Waddle, 144 yards and a touchdown, was kind of great just from the beginning. It was like the one game a few weeks ago where he had 55 yards in the first 3 plays and then disappeared. He had 55 yards once again in the first quarter, and I was like, is this going to happen again? We joke, we do that category, 2 tight ends who outscored Jalen Waddle. No tight ends outscored Jalen Waddle. Only 2 wide receivers in the league outscored him this week.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
This is what you play for. You know what? I wasn't going to give up. A captain goes down with his ship.
Dude, all the teams who were crushing it today with Jalen Waddle in fantasy. I was just thinking of that meme of the guy. There's like the cartoon 4-panel meme where the guy's like biting the gold medal, popping the champagne, giving him the middle finger, and it zooms out, and he's like in 8th place on the podium. Yeah. And I'm like, that's Jalen Waddle.
Also, this might be like the devil's work today because we're now getting close to the fantasy playoffs, and now everyone's probably going to start him for the next month, hoping he goes off again.
You know,
and he won't. Yeah. He's like Kaiser Soze. He showed his face once and will never be seen again.
It reminds me a lot of Kevin Garnett. He went on Bill's show a few years ago, and he was like, he's like, the way to beat certain guys, like, he was talking about Giannis. He was like, the thing is, when you play Giannis, you want Giannis to make the first three. Because then you want Giannis to keep shooting threes. And it's kind of like, actually, this is mind games. I wanted Jalen Waddle to play well this week, because now you're exactly what you said. You're going to play Jalen Waddle in the playoffs. You're going to lose. But having said that, Dolphins are playing well. DK, who is your we're so back?
Speaking of Tua, we're so back. I love Tua comfortably, no head injury. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that we did a little breakout where Carlos, who's a Dolphins fan, basically made it sound like we love Tua a lot. I actually do love
super
Tua.
cut. Yeah,
he just spliced together an argument where we were like kind of making fun of Tua into.
I feel like he thrives always.
But
so since returning,
okay, go to the Instagram, DK. That wasn't here. That was on the Instagram.
Right. Since returning it from injured reserve in week 8, I'm going to give you the ranks for what Tua has done. 76% completion rate, first. 56% success rate when throwing the football, first. 116 pass rating, first. 11 touchdowns, third, with only 1 pick. He's averaging 255 pass yards a game, which is 10th in the NFL. And offensively, the Dolphins are first in EPA per play, EPA per drive, EPA on dropbacks. They're second in offensive touchdowns in that stretch, and fourth in successful plays, according to 33rd team. So pretty good. Pretty good job.
Yeah, it sounds like all those
kind
Washington
of almost
stats,
as if he's an MVP of the team and maybe the league.
No. Oh, of the team. Oh, now you're going to hedge of the team.
Sorry, I meant the league.
No, I mean, yeah. Well,
I don't really believe it, but like,
Pats.
You can make the argument.
I want to shout out really quickly, because I feel like he's been overshadowed this year a little bit. Is Devon Achane is just quietly, he's been a menace
crushing.
this year. He's like crushing.
Yeah, he's crushing.
All of the upside that we talked about in the offseason, we're seeing it. And I think the reason it doesn't feel like it, because he doesn't have those like 50-yard bombs like he was having last year. He used to like have a 70-yard touchdown every week. That's not really happening as much. It's a little bit more of like chunk plays just over and over, working him in the red zone and stuff like that. And then also the stats don't really reveal it, because Tua was out for 5 weeks and that screwed everything up. Right. But when Tua's on the field, Devon Achane is the number 2 running back in fantasy. He's averaging 20 points a game. Like, he is exactly what all of the upside conversation was. Like, that's just happening. And I don't really think people are discussing that.
Why aren't we talking about it more?
I think it's because weird. The stats don't reflect it, because Tua being gone messed a lot of it up. And there's not like the Scott Hansen, and we got to go to Miami where Devon Achane rattles off an 81-yard run. That stuff's not really happening. They're just like using him a lot in the red zone.
He's also like, for sure, their number 2 receiver this year. Obviously, this is a big part of the reason Waddle has been so bad all season, is because he's just he's got like a 20% target rate in the passing game.
Well, the other number 2 receiver is Jonnu Smith, who has 9 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown.
They've kind of Tyreek and Waddle have been replaced with Achane and Jonnu.
Yeah, Tyreek has been not that good this year, by the way. It's
I think that he's getting more attention, and then the Dolphins actually have answers now with Jonnu and Achane. And they're like, don't forget, like, Achane had the concussion. Jonnu Smith, like, was not involved early in the season, but like, last 5 weeks, the top scoring tight ends in fantasy are Taysom Hill, which is funny, Travis Kelce. Jonnu Smith is 3, above Cade Otton and Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, like Jonnu Smith the last 5 weeks. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And he looks good.
Having said that,
I mean, it doesn't feel like
I think we need a giant asterisk on this game, though, a little bit. Dolphins won 34-15. As far as I'm concerned, it's 34-0. This Patriots game, this was an abomination for New England, right, DK? Like, this was a horrendous game.
It's so over. Mayo might not be a good coach.
Gerard Mayo. I love when it's funny that like Gerard Mayo, when you like, he's the head coach of a football team. But usually you can call Belichick the last name. You can call Dable. But you're just like, Mayo. It's over for Mayo. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like a funny guy to call by his last name.
That's true. So, look, I'm not the only Ringer employee, or I guess not employee, owner, to be calling out Gerard Mayo publicly. Bill Simmons has been going after him on Twitter. So that's, obviously I'm just kind of piggybacking on that. But, man, he's like the most conservative coach I've ever seen in my life. Like, he will never go for it when they should go for it. He will never do anything that is even remotely like aggressive. And today he did one of the weirdest challenges I've ever seen from a coach.
Don't say weirdest, dumbest.
It was
the dumbest,
short list worst challenge
I've ever seen. So basically, the play was, I don't know what it was. It
was a 19-yard pass to Jalen Waddle for a first down.
And he challenged that despite the fact that they had called defensive pass interference. So it was so if they won the challenge, it would still be a first down.
Yeah.
Like, if
They
you win
would've
the
saved
challenge,
4
you're going to have a
yards.
first down.
Yeah, they would have saved 4
Like,
yards.
what
It's
are
on the
you
absolute
doing?
shortest of short lists of the worst challenges in the history of instant
By the
replay.
way, small detail, lost the challenge.
Yeah, call stood.
and
And
so,
then
I
wait,
mean,
and,
it
then, and then the
wasn't-
best part was then, just for me, it went to then Gene's territory, and they were like, Gene, do you think that call should have stood? He was like, nope, I don't think it was a catch. And I was like, great, thanks, Gene.
Oh my God.
I love how you blame Gene for
I
that.
just fucking hate that. I didn't think it was a catch. Well, all the other people on the field who are doing your job did. I don't know why you guys constantly disagree.
Oh my God. Please.
What? I don't get it. I don't know why they can't be on the same page.
Because the rules are not
What's
viable.
the
many
fuck?
rules.
Too
Why
many
are they
fucking
always
rules in the
wrong? It
NFL.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. There's too much gray
No, it
area,
doesn't.
Greg.
I will say for Gerard Mayo that, first of all, first 6 snaps, there were 3 false starts for New England.
Jesus.
That
is so
is
terrible.
horrific.
Yeah.
The Patriots had 10 penalties. Almost all of them were like false starts and holding in neutral zones. Mike Reese at ESPN listed them, and it's kind of like incredible. It's like literally like Verdarian Lowe had a false start, and then Jacobs had a false start, and then Lowe had another false start, and then Jacobs had a holding, and then Austin Hooper had a neutral zone infraction, which is like a tight end getting a neutral zone infraction. Jesus. And then Jennings had a neutral zone infraction, and then Verdarian Lowe had another holding, and then Jones had a holding, and then Verdarian Lowe had another false start. Dude, what the fuck? And it's like that's insane. And then all right, fine, offense. Like Gerard Mayo's a defensive coach. Last week versus the Rams, the Patriots allowed 28 points in the first 24 minutes. Today versus the Dolphins, the second quarter, the Dolphins had 209 yards and 24 points in the second quarter. And then Solak, via ESPN Stats and Info, Solak tweeted out, that was the most points allowed in the second quarter of the NFL in like the last year, was today in New England. And the defense, again, is so bad. They allowed Jalen Waddle to get 144 yards. Jalen Waddle can't do anything versus anyone.
It got to the point where the announcers were like depressed about how many penalties. They're like, and another holding.
It was horrific. Yeah, I agree. I wasn't sure what to make of Bill's anger toward Gerard Mayo, but he actually reminds me a lot of it.
Added him on Twitter or whatever. He
Yeah,
he tagged him.
That's amazing. Gerard Mayo actually reminds me a lot of Antonio Pierce, and
I know,
Bill was saying that,
because they're kind of like defensive coaches that are super conservative, really conservative, like weirdly conservative about everything.
Bill was saying Gerard Mayo coaches scared. I don't think Gerard Mayo coaches scared. He coaches with the way too much the overconfidence of a former linebacker who's like, well, our defense will just get a stop because that's what you have to believe to be an NFL player. But what Gerard Mayo doesn't seem to realize is the defense sucks. You actually have to coach like your defense sucks because it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're coaching with this like crazy blind confidence of course you can't give up the ball at midfield because, as long as we punt, our defense will hold them. Meanwhile, it's like your defense is not going to hold them. Antonio Pierce is the same way with the conservatism. It's insane. It's so over. It's so over for kickers in the era of the kicker.
Tough game for kickers.
We were in the golden era, baby. And then today, we were in the golden era, man. The Bears had a kick blocked, and then Kaimi Fairbairn for Houston had a huge miss. Jason Myers for Seattle missed his first extra point of the season, and then the Bucs kicker missed a field goal. And then Cowboys Washington, Brandon Aubrey had a kick blocked. Brandon Aubrey doinked a different kick, and then the Washington kicker missed 2 extra points. Make 2, they win the game. Make 1, you go to overtime. He missed 2 extra points and they lost. So it's just like it went from like kickers were like crushing 60-yarders into honestly kickers are just losing games.
It was a big week for regression.
Yeah. Well, for some people, I will say progression. We're so back. Bryce Young, quarterback for Carolina. I thought this was the best game Bryce Young has had since he was at LA.
He made like 5 throws today that I was like, that was like a legitimate high-end, difficult professional quarterback throw.
Yeah, I agree. He made a couple of big throws that were not caught too. That like were good throws that should have like been big gains that they just didn't bring down for a reason.
Like 30-yard corner routes on a rope.
Yeah, the accuracy is back, and again, 21 of 35, 263 yards and a touchdown.
He was also dancing
again,
out there. He was having a good
lost
time.
me my house.
He was look, DK. So again, for you don't know, on the Friday show, we Craig and I were like, DK,
You're trying to peer pressure me.
If you lose, would you bet your house on the Chiefs?
And you blew it.
Would you bet your house on the Chiefs? Like if the Chiefs win, you get Craig's house, and if the Chiefs lose, you give your house to Craig. And DK said no, which is like turning down the Chiefs at even money for a house.
Ridiculous.
Which we said was crazy.
And we were right.
And you should. It was never a doubt.
Right,
I mean,
came
what?
down to the final final
Chiefs won.
drive.
Final play, 30-27 Chiefs, final field goal, never a doubt. It's
I never
Mahomes,
wavered.
never a
The
doubt.
backup kicker for the Chiefs.
I will say, though,
I would have been pissing in my pants.
I would like to do a fart or Shart
Okay.
with the Kansas City Chiefs. DK, since you were not willing to bet on the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, so now their record is 10-1.
Mhm.
Half their wins, 5 of their 10 wins, were on the final play of the game.
Yeah.
And again, and you know what? That was cool when it was the Ravens, or like cool when they're blocking kicks against the Broncos. The Kansas City Chiefs today gave up 5 sacks to the Carolina Panthers, who were averaging 1 sack per game. They allowed Mahomes to be sacked 5 times. Meanwhile, the Chiefs could not pressure Bryce Young without blitzing, and then Bryce Young shredded the blitzes. DK, fart or Shart for the Kansas City Chiefs today against Carolina?
Very obviously a fart. They're a good team. What are we talking about?
I'm going to tell you, I think it's a Shart, and I'm going to say it right now.
They came into this game 5th in DVOA, 3rd on offense. 9th on offense, 7th on defense. Like, this is a really balanced, very good team with Patrick Mahomes, who never loses in the fourth quarter, as he did today. He won in the fourth quarter.
This is a classic. You don't get up for a shitty opponent game. You're on the road in Carolina.
It's not a Shart. They're fine.
I think it's
They're
a Shart.
They're fucking 10-1. What are you talking about?
It's honestly, they're halfway between what the Chiefs were last year and the Steelers when they were 11-0. They're halfway there. I want to read. Oh, I just stirred. Craig
I mean, the
Steelers
12-0 Steelers were horrific.
I know, but I want to read an excerpt today. Nate Taylor, who covers the Chiefs, The Athletic. I would like to read his story from the game here for a moment. Rookie receiver, this is the beginning of the story. Rookie receiver Xavier Worthy left the visitors' locker room at Bank of America Stadium stone-faced, even though his performance was full of quality moments. Joe Blameyer, the Chiefs' pass-game coordinator, shook his head in frustration when he made eye contact with reporters. Unlike most days after a game, quarterback Patrick Mahomes did not chat with many teammates in the locker room. Right tackle Jawan Taylor sat in front of his locker longer than usual, his facial expression projecting his annoyance. Several Chiefs defenders left the locker room with their heads bowed. The vibe from the Chiefs was not joy, it was relief.
Yeah, it's like in Kingpin when Big Earn's like, yeah, I didn't want to lose to a guy with one arm. It's like they were embarrassed that they almost lost to this team. That's all. It's fine. You want them to be pissed off. You want to be pissed off for greatness.
All right. This is a smelly fart.
That's
smelly fart.
That's fine.
All right, Craig. Let me ask you a question here. We got, Packers, 49ers. Tom Brady, once again, announcing. Do you think Tom Brady, fart or Shart for Tom Brady announcing this game?
My man has IBS. Because this was, once again, another Shart from my boy Tom. They didn't give him a lot to work with today. It was a blowout, 38-10. He did the Packers-Niners game. But even when the game was closer, man, I wrote down my 3 favorite lines he did today.
Taking notes.
So this one was after a pass to George Kittle. He goes, Kittle's a guy the 49ers love to get the ball to. Every game they go in thinking, how can we get this guy the ball? That's George Kittle to this 49ers team, KB. Wow. Thanks, Tom Brady. Another one. If you're the 49ers, you need to get in rhythm on offense. You're missing some of your guys out there, but no one's feeling sorry for anyone out here today. He has this weird thing where, like, anytime he talks about adversity, he's like, but no one's feeling sorry for you out there on the field. It's like, oh, we get it.
You know what's funny is honestly, Brady's kind of like a Tim Robinson bit where someone who doesn't really know football that well has to announce a football game. Like, it's really like it's a George Kittle. Yeah, they got to get up the ball. Dude, it's like, yeah, it's
the best. Josh Jacobs scored like a 3-yard touchdown run, and he was like, great touchdown run from Jacobs, KB. You got those two big bodies in front of your big back. Makes it impossible not to score there, KB. He's the best. One time the Niners had the ball. It was 1st and goal on the 1-yard line. And the Niners ran the ball with Christian McCaffrey. And he goes, I like that play call, KB. They ran the ball with Christian McCaffrey on the 1-yard line. He goes, I like that play call. Brandon Allen is the quarterback. Thanks, Tom. You agree with that call?
Craig, based on your memory, who was worse, Jason Witten or Tom Brady?
Give me Witten.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I think Witten was
I
better.
definitely
No, I
disagree
do.
with that.
Dude, no, DK, you know why Witten was better? If Tom Brady was talking like this on Monday Night Football, it's like all we'd be talking about. He's actually been saved by the fact that these are like 4 p.m. games
Who is,
and not like prime time.
Who is better, Drew Brees or Tom Brady?
Oh, I don't even really remember Brees.
That's the point.
I don't think Brees did a game.
What?
Brees was like a halftime
Brees
show
was
guy,
not an
right?
announcer.
No, he wasn't. He called a few games.
Oh, did he?
Maybe
Let me
like
double check that. I think he did.
Brady's got a 10-year deal for like $300 million.
The shit he says.
He leveraged to buy the rate like a stake in the Raiders. He has 5% of the Raiders. He can't even get out of this.
He's so bad.
Craig.
He had the opportunity to call a wild card playoff game between Las Vegas and Cincinnati in 2022.
He was better than Brady.
Yeah, I think that
the 49ers love to get George Kittle the ball, KB.
I think that, the reason I bring it up is because it's like, I think they do the exact same thing. It's like, they're just so boring. Like, just say something interesting for once. Like, I think that's what makes Greg Olsen good, is like he has,
Olsen's so good.
You know, he has like little interesting insights about like how they ran a certain play, like who they blocked. I think that Collinsworth does the same thing, but like, I think Brady was really good when he did like the Manning cast and stuff like that. He was like loose and like,
dude,
like describing like why, like what was happening in, you know, like a 2-minute drill and stuff like that. It was like really interesting stuff. And then he's just so buttoned up. He's like an over prepared person in a debate. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, this is what's inexplicable. This is the same guy who like 7 months ago had that panel where he ranted about football and he talked so eloquently about like, it is the quarterback's responsibility to not get your receivers hurt. That's not on the defense, and like defenders shouldn't be flagged or fined.
Yeah, he had the whole like the death
of
of the development of the quarterback. It was,
he was like, it's all playbooks in college now. It used to be a program, like, and it's like, what the fuck happened to that guy? Did
Loosen
they kill him?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's like someone quantum leaped into Tom Brady's body and doesn't know anything about football, or like the Space Jam, like the Monstars took it. It's like he doesn't remember playing football. It's like he forgot.
It's like he made a clone of himself so he didn't have to go. And just like, it's like this like 1.0
AI
robot.
Tom Brady?
Yeah, it honestly feels like that.
Wait, what if he's not there? What if it's like AI Al Michaels and he just AI'd it and there's like no one will find out?
I feel like he's
it's either that or they didn't speak to him before they gave him the money.
Yeah. Brady, I could see Brady being on the board of some AI company. Maybe it is, for all we know.
Yeah. All
Big
right.
Shart. Big Shart,
Big
KB.
Shart.
I'm rooting for Brady. I want him to come back and start being good at
Thanks,
being good
DK.
at
I'm
this.
glad that someone's rooting for.
I feel
You
like
know
he
what?
hasn't-
I wasn't
he
sure if Tom
hasn't-
Brady
he
had
hasn't
won
gotten
enough.
You know.
Oh my God, Craig, who's got you feeling
I like the
nicey this
underdog.
week?
Heifetz is so bad.
No, that's
that
how,
guy.
look, if you watch
Oh my
that commercial, you would think that he's like a Make-A-Wish kid. So
Do you think that's what it is? He needs to be bad to start, or else he doesn't have any haters to fuel him for the rise.
I mean, yeah, right. In the announcer draft, he's like a 5th round. He's Mr. Irrelevant.
The reason he's gonna get good is because Craig.
He'll see my clips and be like, fuck this.
Because
guy.
he's like, I fucking hate
I think
that
eventually
clown.
someone's going to have to show him the clips of Craig, and he's going to be like, either watch the tape or he's going to be like motivation. I wonder if you watch the clips and be like, damn, I kind of do sound like
He's
that.
like, damn, I'm kind of crushing it. The Niners do love to get the ball to George Kittle.
That was a good play. Those were two big bodies.
Yeah.
All right, who's got you feeling nicey, Craig?
Specifically, Bo Nix to Cortland Sutton. Kind of one of the more unexpected clutch duos in the league right now. Cortland Sutton is the number 3 wide receiver in fantasy over the last month. No one's talking about my boy Cortland. We were all done with him, and everybody on the show was like, has been, it's over. Cortland Sutton is like the 5th guy.
Not everyone on the show. It was mostly me.
you. It was like,
It was me.
Cortland Sutton
That was
is
me.
a guy on your bench.
Hand up.
He leads the league in receiving over the last 5 weeks. And
Fuck,
yeah, dude,
that's
he's averaging
crazy.
like 100 yards a game. He's been awesome. And Bo Nix, same thing. Last 4 weeks, Bo Nix, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Wait, are you sure it's not Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase had 250 in a game. How is that possible?
Maybe that was the week before. I did last 5 weeks. Maybe that 250 game was the week before. You want me to do it? You want me to get into the numbers?
No, it's fine.
Fact check live?
Let me fact check live. True Media. Hold on here. It's going to...
Actually, no, it makes sense because Chase had 75, 264. Then he had 43, 54, 55, 72.
Chase had 264 yards in week 10.
No, but I think he's right because he really only had 250 in the other 4 games combined.
Right.
So it's probably, you're right.
Damn.
Damn.
Anyway, yeah, I just think like every big third down, it's like, once again, Nix to Sutton. Of course, like the announcer today already got to the point where he was like, who else? Cortland Sutton. And I'm like, man, this is a really unlikely relationship that has sprouted.
Remember what it's like? It felt like the Broncos wanted to get rid of Sutton for like 2 or 3 years there. They're just like,
oh yeah,
dangling him on like for trade requests and stuff. And then they gave him like a weird sort of like renegotiated deal. But yeah, he's great. He's awesome. It's really cool to see it because, like, early on in his career, he looked like he was going to be like a Nico Collins type of player, and then he got hurt. I can't remember. He like tore his ACL or something early on in his career.
Yeah, and well, I think these are the throws that we're missing in the beginning of the year. The first 5-6 weeks, we were making fun of the Broncos because we were like, "Why are you having yards after the catch offense for Cortland Sutton as Marvin Mims is on the goddamn bench?" And then now Bo Nix is making these like more aggressive throws in the end zone that, frankly, I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make. But like, I think that honestly, like, there's Bo Nix has had like more. I'm not saying he's like, I still am not going to be out here and like, I think the Bo Nix Rookie of the Year stuff over Jaden Daniels or whatever is still insane. I think that's, I know Washington's playing worse, but I think Jaden Daniels is playing really well. But Bo Nix is making like better quality throws to the corner than I thought he was going to be able to make as a rookie. DK, you're the expert here. Who would you vote for Rookie of the Year? If you could right now. I saw you make a face when I said that was ridiculous.
I don't know. I think the only face I would make is like saying it's ridiculous is a little ridiculous. But I don't know.
I don't actually hate Bo Nix. Sorry, I hate
Bo
Jerry
Nix
Jeudy.
and Jaden Daniels can't be like more different stylistically. So it's like,
I know.
It's like just funny to think about. But yeah, I mean, Bo Nix has played really, really well the last few weeks. He's like playing really clean. Like this offense works. Like Sean Payton is, I think, the perfect offensive coordinator to coach Bo Nix. He's like doing really good stuff in terms of like making everything easy for him and giving him answers and giving him plays, giving him like situations where he can just like feed the ball to his playmakers. And like you notice that like every game. Bo Nix QB 8 on the season.
Well, I was going to ask you, DK. I was going to say I think this fantasy-wise, I think Bo Nix is only going to get better next year because I think that a lot of what's happening, there's rushing here. Mm-hmm. There's like the rushing you want with Bo Nix. It's not like he's, it's Lamar Jackson, but like there's absolutely rushing touchdown and rushing yards potential. The defense will be worse probably in Denver next year, not because they're bad, but just because defense is hard year to year. And then he'll probably get better. Frankly, I think the skill players in the offensive line will get better in Denver next year. And you look at all that together, I'm like, shit, you're going to take Bo Nix over CJ Stroud next year. You're going to take him over Jared Goff. You're going to take him all these
pocket passers. Is he going to be like a top 10 guy?
I think he's going to be a top 8 quarterback again next year in drafts. Like you're going to take like the, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. And then I actually think
he's probably going to get overdrafted next year. Let's be honest.
Next year, right now, Heifetz, would you rather have Bo Nix or CJ Stroud?
I mean, dude, I think right now, am I wrong? Bo Nix is putting up 50% more points than CJ Stroud over the last 6 weeks. Like it's not even remotely close.
That's correct.
Just looking at success rate, Bo Nix and CJ Stroud are right next to each other, 41%. 23 and 24 out of 35 qualifiers. Yeah.
Sean Payton's a good coach. Like, I mean, and Bo Nix, he's executing. And we did say that we thought Bo Nix could have a solid rookie year. I think the question with Bo Nix was always, does he have the ceiling of these other guys? But I also, Drew Brees was a second-round pick.
Yep.
And so maybe Bo Nix will play 20 years and be a terrible announcer when they say boring shit.
Maybe. That's the trajectory he's certainly on right now. Yeah.
All right. Intrusive thoughts. My intrusive thought, this isn't an intrusive thought. This is almost like a take, but that Thursday night football game, snow games are the way football was meant to be played. And DK, I know you said before that you would like all games to be in domes. I got to tell you, there is not if I could rank everything I feel about football, there's nothing I would actually put higher than what makes football special is in large part because it's play outdoors, rain or shine, as long as lightning won't kill someone and a hurricane won't like drag resources away from like saving like people's lives or whatever. Like you show up and you play. And I thought that game was like the epitome of why football is like the most amazing sport.
I agree completely. Weather games are the only thing that gets my mom to watch football. And she becomes the biggest fan of the game. Like if she turns, she's like, oh my God, it's snowing in Cleveland. She'll like sit down, have a drink and watch the game. It's like just one of the most visually amazing things to watch. It is so different than anything you can watch in any other sport. It's amazing.
I don't know how I feel. I think like part of me does still hang on to the old take I had where I'm like, I just take the weather out of the equation. Like, let them play football. But I do think there is something sort of maybe like the closest emotion I have is like nostalgic about it, where it's like this is the season. This is the season in which we watch these football games,
Yes.
And it's like snowy and shitty, and these guys are slipping, sliding, and it's like you can barely see the ball. Like it's I think there is something slightly nostalgic about that. So I kind of
holidays. It makes me feel warm.
It's like a holidays thing. You know what I mean? Like it's almost Thanksgiving, and pretty soon it'll be Christmas, and oh, I see the lights. It's like I don't know. There's something to it where I kind of get that, but like I don't think the football is any
You
good,
get to see
but that's
grown
fine.
men
Watch
fight.
the Thursday football
You get to see
game.
grown men fight in the snow, dude. That's like the coolest thing ever.
Dude, it's the dream. And it's like, if you, I don't know, that game was magical. It was like, that was such a return to roots. And I don't know.
That game was
I don't
in
know.
particular. I don't really like watching super rainy games. Like I could give a shit about that. I think snow games in particular.
Well, rain sucks because
cool.
you can't even see it.
Yeah.
Like on camera.
Yes,
Like,
you don't even
do
know
you-
what's that. Yeah,
do
you're
you feel
watching
that?
bad football without the cool thing of
Would
seeing
you die on the
seeing
hill of
rain.
like in terms of like I want them to be playing in any weather, like whatever, rain or shine,
Yes.
like when it's just like shitty and rainy and it's 6-3 this final score.
I think getting games like the Thursday night game is worth the shitty rain games.
You know why?
Okay.
I
Snow games are fun, I will say.
The answer is yes, I will, and here's why. It bothers me that with all the complications of football, the idea that, well, but the weather should be perfect all the time. The whole point of football in so many ways is nothing is ever perfect all the time. It's like more than any other sport, people are always hurt. People are always out. There's always missed calls. There's always dumb shit going on. And also, while we're here,
It's chaotic.
football is just cosplay for war. That's all it is. It's a bunch of dudes dressing up in different
Dude,
jerseys, pretending to fight in battles.
I sent you guys.
and you know what?
I sent you guys a picture. Army, the college team Army, put together like Battle of the Bulge uniforms, where it had like the uniforms have like snowflakes like on the uniform. Like it's like I was like, this is fucking awesome.
It is, but that's all football
We're
is.
recreating
And
the
so
Battle
idea
of
is,
the
like,
Bulge. The Nazis
I
are
don't know.
coming.
It's just very Kyle Shanahan to be like, I only like he's Napoleon. I only want to fight in the sunshine. I'm like, that's not how it fucking works. Anyway,
You feel very strongly
Yes.
about that. I
Oh
don't.
my
I don't think
God.
I have a very strong take. I think my take comes from the like I want fantasy points, and like the snow
it's-
games.
Fantasy's
like, are
ruined.
Fucking
Then fantasy's ruined the
David
NFL.
Njoku's dropping a wide open touchdown because he can't see the ball. That's fine.
Better that way.
'Kay.
Do you guys have any other intrusive thoughts?
I had one. I've thought this actually for a long time. There's too many rules in the NFL. Craig, you kind of were like flicking at it earlier. There's just like, honestly, I think like what percentage of the rules do you think that you really know well as someone that covers the NFL? Like 70%?
And it's
80%?
impossible to know because I don't know how many rules there are. There are probably 10
rule
times as
book
many
is like-
rules that I
The
know.
rule book, I
It's
think,
like
is like
taxes.
93.
You think you have an idea.
Yeah.
You don't even have an
It's like the
idea.
fucking tax code, and it changes every year. The rule book is like 90 something pages.
The reason why I think I sent that because if one of my least favorite ref moment today, and it's not like this was the ref's fault, it's just hilarious because there's so many goddamn rules. There was a play today where Jordan Addison caught a ball and it was a long play,
Oh my
and they didn't know if he stepped out of bounds or not.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this shot that they cut to where it showed that he was actually in bounds despite the fact that the ref called him out of bounds. And he stayed in bounds and gained an extra 20 yards. But the camera they used was called a boundary camera. And the rule is, if a coach challenges a play, you cannot use the boundary camera because not every stadium has a boundary camera yet. They're still testing it out. There's only 12
God.
stadiums have a
Just
boundary
get
camera.
the play right. Just get the call right.
So they literally were like, sorry, we know he's in. We can't use the boundary camera because it's not equitable because the other stadiums don't have it. I'm
Just
like,
get
what the
the
fuck are we
calls
doing
right.
here?
Just
We
get the
have a
calls
camera
right.
angle that shows what happened in the play. We can't use it? So
Jesus.
stupid.
Dude, it's insane.
Okay, so yeah,
It's actually
that is
insane.
wild and stupid and really annoying. The other
Not
one
really
that
a
I just
rule.
thought
I
was
guess
like
it's a rule.
really indicative and just like emblematic of like no one knows the rules was there was a point in the Seahawks Cardinals game where Marvin Harrison caught a pass near the front corner of the end zone. He got 1 foot down, was kind of like spinning as he caught it, and his other foot knocked the pylon over, and it was in the end zone. Like like he knocked the pylon over with his other foot. And like my Twitter timeline, which is like honestly full of like really, really knowledgeable NFL beat writers, it was like 50-50 on who knew what the rule was. I'm not kidding. Like half the people I saw was like, I think that's a touchdown. I think if you get your foot in and like knock the pylon over, it's a catch. But it wasn't. It was like, that's not the rule. Like you have to get your foot down. And we had the same thing with like 2 right feet down and not the left foot down.
Oh yeah, he got it down twice.
It's like,
can you get the right foot down twice with no left? No.
And the Cardinals challenged it, even though he clearly did not have his foot down. So therefore, I think Jonathan Gannon thought that was the rule. Like, it's like no one knows the fucking rules of this sport. There's too many rules.
He challenged it, so the ref literally like had more time to check the rule book.
Yeah, the ref's like, actually, I don't know. What is it? What's the rule? God. Phone a friend.
Except not Terry McCauley or Gene Steratore. Let's say the opposite.
Anyway, by the way, I didn't know that was the rule either. For the record, I was like, shit. Is that a catch? I don't know.
My intrusive thought was that there's one good team in the NFL, and it's the Lions.
Yeah,
and I just don't think anybody else is that good. And I think the Lions are clearly
who's the second best team? The Eagles. You have to say the Eagles.
Eagles change your mind after tonight?
No, I mean the Eagles are a good team. This is my intrusive thought is like it is the Lions, and then it's everybody else. Like
I'm worried about the Lions. I'm worried about the Lions. They racked up more injuries today, which I did not like. And
they're peaking too early.
I didn't like David Montgomery I don't know if any of these injuries are serious. I didn't like
Montgomery
got banged up.
Yeah.
I didn't like Khalif Raymond got banged up. And mostly I didn't like that. Honestly, the Colts should have made that a game. And I didn't like that first game of that Alex Anzalone, who we mentioned, like he broke his arm and he is basically the quarterback on the defense. He's played for the coordinator for 7 years and he missed today's game. And I don't like that the Colts really should have been in that game. And they kind of Richardson missed a throw and they dropped the touchdown. I was like, that should have been close. And I think if it was close, we would have been like, what the fuck's wrong with the Lions?
The Lions are the only team in the league where if there was a secret rule that only they knew, or even actually the whole league could know it, if they were only allowed to run in touchdowns, I think they'd have the same record.
Oh, wait, we can pass? That's funny.
Wow. I will say, dude, you know what's crazy? Crazy. I think we need a Lions stat category each week.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions, I can't get over this stat. I don't think we even talked about this. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs have both scored a rushing touchdown in the same game 9 times.
Wow.
Which is tied for the 3rd most ever of a duo. Dude, they've only played a season and a half together. Jahmyr Gibbs is a second-year player. They've played like 23 games together, and they have the 3rd most games ever where they both have a rushing touchdown. That is insane.
They're like Kamara and Mark Ingram, but maybe better. Yeah. I don't even know.
Well, they both had 10 plus rushing touchdowns last year, and they both have 10 plus rushing touchdowns this year, which I saw a stat. I can't remember how exactly
Week 12
rare it is, but like that's like it rarely ever happens. I don't think there's ever had a backfield pair scored double-digit touchdowns 2 years in a row.
Dude, they might each have.
They haven't even played.
They might each have 15
2 full seasons. But we're not done with this season. And last year, all we bitched about in September was that Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't playing that much. And I don't know. This is all
Gibbs
crazy.
didn't even
the Lions are so
Gibbs
good.
Didn't even really become a part of their offense until like halfway through the year. It was wild.
Dude, fuck it. Now I'm remembering how I felt watching the Lions play. Craig's right. The Lions are the best team. They're winning the Super Bowl. The Lions are the best team.
Yeah.
It's not even close. All right. Play of the day.
Turpin.
The Kevontae Turpin return.
Yeah.
Also, it's
the McLaurin.
It's the Kevontae Turpin
touchdown
return.
was pretty wild too. Let's be honest.
The McLaurin, we would talk about that cosmically, but Craig, will you give your Tom Brady a version of announcing your AI Tom Brady version of Kevontae Turpin doing that kickoff return touchdown?
Kevontae Turpin there, KB, seems to fumble the ball a little bit, but it actually might have helped him. Picks up speed. You can see the defenders chasing after him, but they are just not fast enough to catch Kevontae Turpin there for the touchdown.
Great call.
Great call, KB.
You love having fast players on special teams.
Kevontae Turpin has been a real game changer out there today, KB.
Brady, he's gonna come back.
Brady might have me killed.
I know, seriously.
If this show gets a little more popular, Brady might have me killed.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
I want to shout out. I want
wanna-
to shout out real quick. This is not nearly like on the level of these other ones, but like Baker Mayfield scoring the rushing touchdown and then doing like the DeVito celebration, to the whole crowd. But also there was another play. I just wanted to shout out Baker Mayfield in general because I think he's the guy in the NFL who's having the most fun. Maybe except for like Dan Campbell. He's probably having the most fun. But like second place, I think Baker Mayfield is maybe the guy who's having the most fun. There was a play, I don't even know. It was like late in the third quarter or something like that. And Bucky Irving broke off this really big run. And like 50 yards down the field, Baker Mayfield is like blocking. I don't know if he like actually was doing anything helpful, but like he's like running his ass off 50 yards down the field, trying to block guys, falling down, rolling around, like getting up, like slapping Bucky Irving on the helmet, screaming in his ear, like yelling at the crowd. I'm like, this guy is so funny to watch play football. He's just like out there having fun.
You know how some quarterbacks, when they throw a 70-yard touchdown, like Mahomes at this point, he's like probably not going to run to the end zone and congratulate. Right. Baker Mayfield, it doesn't matter how long, like he is sprinting to go celebrate in the end zone with his boys every single touchdown.
It's like
with
that
the
old
fellas.
Padres closer, like just sprinting to the mound. No, it's true. Baker, Baker plays like someone who, like, their career almost ended, and like everyone says, like DeVito said, I want to play every game like it's my last. Baker actually plays every game like it's his last one, and he's gonna like enjoy it. I will say that game reminded me I'm still a Giants fan because sometimes I wonder if the combination of covering football professionally with the Giants being terrible for like 8 of the last 9 years has made me like less of a fan. Mm-hmm. And then like the Giants are down 4 touchdowns and Baker and like they had Bucky Irving wrapped up at the line of scrimmage at the 5-yard line. And then he broke the tackle and ran 60 yards with Baker as his lead blocker. And I fucking threw something across my childhood living room. And I was like, I was like mad. And I was like, I guess I still care about this stupid
still down there
team.
somewhere. Yeah.
It's like disease. It's genetic.
The first 20 minutes of this podcast didn't convince you? Or last week?
Fuck. I hate this fucking team. Whatever.
Or the week before?
Other best play of the day, dude. Kobe Bryant, the Seahawks picking off Kyler Murray pick six, and he did the hold my dick. Hold my dick.
2 weeks in a row. Can life get better?
Craig, do you think is holding your dick having a moment?
Apex Mountain? No, obviously not.
No, Apex Mountain.
Yeah.
It's Apex Mountain for recreating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, when they show like the Google trends, like the spike.
Yeah.
Hold my dick, like trending.
Little, half chub. Yeah. Up the spike. Worst play of the day. I got Jonathan Taylor, the flea icker. Jonathan Taylor getting a handoff, and then he turns around to toss the ball back to Anthony Richardson, and he gets the ball like halfway there.
He like threw him a grounder.
It's like a 5-yard toss. Yeah, he like bounced past to Anthony Richardson. It was like he could have like took it 2 steps and handed him the ball. It was so close. He bounced. I couldn't believe that.
And then I think Anthony Richardson was like, we're throwing grounders. And then he threw a grounder to Michael.
Yeah, and then he bounced it to the guy. He did
Taylor's
like a Kevin Love cross-court outlet.
Yeah.
Like, he like threw that shit. He's like a Jokic out there. Like, we're going to throw.
Taylor's like, God. You know what? It is hard to throw a football. So don't worry.
Oh, I just had an intrusive thought. I think Jokic could get 2 weeks of NFL training and have a better completion percentage in the NFL than
I think you've organically given this take before.
Jokic.
This sounds so familiar. Maybe we just said it offline sometime. I don't know.
Watching Jokic play basketball, there is 0% chance he could not be an NFL quarterback. Fucking 0.
Yeah, he's like truly like a wizard out there.
I'm not gonna lie. We should play a game. We should put Jokic in Steven's quarterback rankings at the Ringer. Like, there's no way that there's like 26 play. Like, Gardner Minshew broke his collarbone. Jokic could just play for the Raiders. I'm sure Daniel Jones will play for the Raiders, but Jokic could do it.
Jokic is a really good passer, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that like one of his things? Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the funny thing is the football guys would hate him because he'd be as good as Josh Allen, but he hates his job and he hates sports. So I think the football coaches would hate him. He'd like go out there and win the MVP.
He's having the least amount of fun.
Yeah.
He hates the game. Take me to my horses.
Horse guy.
Horse guy. All right, the Jokic conversation seems to have imploded Craig's computer. So we'll see if we're able. Who knows what's going to happen to the rest of the show?
It's eerie that I just said Tom Brady might snipe me, and my computer shut off a minute after I said that.
Seconds later, your computer was detonated as soon as you. So maybe that's the last Tom Brady impression. So Now for the podcast on audio, wherever you get your platform, hopefully it's on Spotify. That'll be fine. For YouTube, for the rest of the show, we're not going to have any video for Craig. So I would like to propose something I've always wanted to do. I would like to superimpose AJ Hawk, like the Pat McAfee show, and I would like to just put AJ Hawk on a
just
loop,
a looping video of AJ Hawk
anything.
like nodding.
Yeah, just every like 20 seconds, he just like moves a little bit,
ripping a cigar.
I would like, just ripping a cigar every 5 minutes. Like I would like that over where Craig is.
Dude.
So let's see if we can pull that off. But for the rest of the show, so just keep going here. The two last things I have to mention for the worst play of the day. I don't know if you guys know this, but we got another Will Levis picture has dropped. Another picture of Will Levis has dropped. We already had the surrender cobra early in the season. We had his face in the guy's butt. We had like all these things. Another one is
him parallel to the ground, throwing with his left hand.
Yeah, all the pictures. We got another one today. He threw a pick six, and then he knew immediately it was a pick six, and he started running. And right when he started running, he put his head down to like try and go faster. And it is just like Will Levis head down,
it's
like
the shame
sprinting.
head down. It's not to go faster.
Well, whatever the shame head, whatever it is, it is Will Levis sprinting with his head looking at the ground. Oh my god!
You know when you hit like a fly ball that you know is going to be an out, but you have to run it out anyway. That's what Will Levis was doing.
Exactly. The only other worst play of the day. This is like the worst quote of the day. I don't think I'm. This also sounded fake. I don't think this is fake. And if it's fake, make fun of me. Did you see that ESPN reported that Puka Nacua didn't know the Rams were in the NFC West?
Dude, I don't understand that. I can't
I
comprehend
kind of love it. Football.
Dude,
he's a football guy, dude. He just shows up and plays the game.
Is he just like Forrest Gump, like get the ball and run? Or like, is he just like, he loves ball so much that the extraneous stuff doesn't matter? That's what I want to know.
I understand, and I'm a little jealous of when like athletes or anyone who's great at anything is like totally disconnected from the world. Like when Brock Bowers did the Trump dance and they asked him and they're like, did you know that was the Trump dance? He's like, I just saw John Jones do it last night. Part of me thought he was lying, and part of me was like, fuck, I would totally believe if Brock Bowers didn't know there was an election.
Yeah.
It's very Gen Z, ignorance is bliss, kind of just like.
But if I think Brock Bowers knows what division the Raiders are in, like Puka Nacua doesn't know this thing that directly impacts his job.
That is wild. That is very.
I mean,
wild.
do you need to know? As a player, you show up and you try to win the game.
Don't you want to know which teams you're like, oh, this is a divisional game for us?
Do you think did it come up because he was like, it feels like we're playing the Seahawks a lot? Like, how did that like even like register? Why do we always play the Seahawks and the 49ers and the Cardinals?
Do you think I think it's so funny?
Man, we play them a lot.
This is where it's like the great coaches are always teachers, and we're like, oh, we think about X's and O's as these like incredibly schematic things and like complex. And it's like in reality, your job is to make the complicated like simple for things like Puka Nacua, who literally he used to say what he ate as a rookie before like Cooper Kupp took him in was he would just take a different route to the facility every day and eat whatever fast food was on the way to the facility. Jack in the Box, McDonald's, Burger King. This is how the fucker ate.
Dude, this is another one of those situations where it's just like they're just like us or whatever. Like,
oh my God.
It reminds me of, I don't know if it's true. This is another one that could be like apocryphal or whatever, but I remember hearing a story about how Brett Favre didn't know what cover 2 was. Like he's just playing on pure instincts. You know what I mean? Like he's like, oh, that guy's open. I'm going to throw it to him, you know, which might explain a lot in terms of like how many interceptions he threw in his career, but I don't know if that's actually true. I heard a story about like how Brett Favre didn't know what cover 2 was. He was like, what are you talking about? Cover 2?
Oh, dude. All right. The Lucille Bluth, I don't understand the stat line. I won't respond to it. I think we hit a lot of these.
Sorry, he didn't know what a nickel defense was. I just looked it up.
Funny.
Ty Detmer, there's a headline. Ty Detmer confirms Brett Favre had no idea what a nickel defense was. God, I love it.
That's legendary. That dude's in the hall. That dude had the most touchdowns ever.
He's like, I don't need to know what the defense is doing. I know what our guys are doing.
That's so, dude. That's some Cardale Jones shit. Lucille Bluth, I don't understand the stat line. I won't respond to it. Do you guys have anything here?
I got one.
Please.
Jalen Waddle has more 100-yard games this year than Tyreek Hill.
Oh my God.
That's so
dude,
funny.
what the hell?
That's
Weird
actually
team.
wild. My Lucille Bluth is that Father John Misty and Kendrick Lamar both released albums in 2012, 2015, 2017, 2022, and 2024, including this week.
And in all of those years, except for 2012, the Warriors have won a title.
Oh my, yeah, that's so insane.
There's like an Instagram account or Twitter account. I can't remember what it is, but it's like weird correlations between two things, and it's like car crashes and children named Peter are born this year. It's like, and they like correlate perfectly. I don't know, that's a terrible example, but like two of the most like completely random things correlate perfectly over time.
Well, who's the guy on the Tigers?
You're gonna have to be more
Which
specific.
one? Tariq Skubal?
No. Is he not on the Tigers? There's the guy who every time he hits a home run, something insane happens in the world.
Oh, you mean Nick Castellanos?
Yes, Nick Castellano. Oh, he's in the Phillies,
Nick
right? Sorry.
Every time Nick Castellanos hits a home run, there's like a global catastrophe.
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be the graph. Nick Castellano or whatever.
He was on the Tigers.
Yeah. Home runs versus world debacles or whatever.
That's so funny.
It was like he hit a home run and Trump almost got assassinated. Like every time he hit a home run, something crazy happened.
Wasn't it the first one was like the announcer had just done some like racist thing and
well, yeah, that started with that was when the I forget who it was.
Like trying to talk through it. He's like, I might not be on the show again tomorrow. Oh, yeah, Nick Castellanos hits a home run. That's out.
Deep in a left field.
Is it Castellano or Castellano? We've been bouncing back and forth.
I think it's Castellanos.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not the pronunciation guy. You guys are just
I'm not a baseball guy, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough because I know baseball, but you guys know how to pronounce things. So that's like a real tough, like, got to go one way or the other there. That's so funny.
One's drove.
Email us at Ringer Fantasy Football.
Please,
if someone can formulate a trivia question listening to this, if you've gotten this far in the episode before we listen, if you can email us before we record tomorrow's waiver show, I would love a Castellanos like waiver related trivia to like all the random events or whatever. Anything like, because I think it was like the day Biden dropped out. It was the day Trump got shot.
Yeah.
It was like everything that happened. Anyway, please give us that. All right. Craig mentioned you mentioned Waddle and you mentioned two tight ends who outscored Jalen Waddle and a lie is a thing we do to RIP two tight ends who outscored Kyle Pitts and a lie. But Jalen Waddle was the number one receiver. So I would like to replace this game, guys, with someone else. I would like to introduce two tight ends who outscored Marvin Harrison Jr. in a lie.
Ooh.
there we go.
Two tight ends who outscored Marvin Harrison Jr. in a lie. Theo Johnson.
Goat.
Luke Schoonmaker.
He had a good game, I think.
A.K.A. the shipbuilder. And Craig's nemesis, Austin Hooper.
Oh, fuck him.
He had a touchdown.
He did, yeah. I think it was whoever you said first. I think it was Theo.
Yeah.
It was Theo, but fucking barely. And I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. had not a great game today. I would like to continue this thread a little bit. I want to play a game with you guys, a little bit over under. Of whether the following tight ends have more or fewer, I don't remember, whatever's important, more or less catches than Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. Do you guys think Kyle Pitts has more or less catches than Marvin Harrison?
Man, I think I would say less.
Yeah.
One less.
Wow.
Kyle Pitts has one less catch than Marvin Harrison Jr. Jake Ferguson for the Cowboys. He has missed 2 games. Do you think Jake Ferguson has more or less catches than Marvin Harrison Jr. this year?
Yeah, more. He said something like...
Yeah, 6. He has more. Jake Ferguson has more catches than Marvin Harrison Jr. What about Pat Freiermuth, Greg? You watch the Steelers every week.
Like a down year, like a really disappointing year for Jake Ferguson.
You've probably cut Jake Ferguson.
He has more catches than Marvin Harrison.
Craig, you watch the Steelers every week. Do you think Pat Freiermuth has more catches than Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Man, Pat's only doing like 3 a week. It's got to be close right there. Same amount.
I say less.
One less catch than Marvin Harrison Jr. Pat Freiermuth.
I like how Craig said that. He's only doing like 3 a week.
Yes. Yeah, that's 3 times 12. Dalton Schultz for the Texans, who's been invisible.
I barely
double digit.
I've barely noticed him this year.
No double-digit fantasy points for Dalton Schultz this year in a week. Do you think Dalton Schultz has more catches or less than Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's been invisible.
I'm going to go with more just because
the framing.
Diggs and Collins were out as well for a while.
Exactly the same.
Ooh.
They both have 36 catches.
Oh,
this year.
that is
Dalton
wild.
Schultz and Marvin
Dalton
Harrison
Schultz
Jr.
has
exactly
been
the same.
the most irrelevant player.
DK, your doppelganger, Will Dissly.
Yeah, more.
Goat.
Yes, more. Will Dissly has more catches than Marvin Harrison Jr. And lastly, I will just say Evan Engram, which is tricky because he catches a lot of passes, also functionally has missed 5 games this season. He got hurt on the first drive and then missed a month. Do you think Evan Engram has more catches than Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's played 5 fewer games.
Evan Engram has had games with like 11 catches, right?
Yeah, but he's played half.
I'm going to go with
5 games. Few less.
Same.
yeah.
Exactly the same. Yes.
Man.
Look at that.
Exactly
Look at
the
that.
same.
Nailed it.
Anyway, all that's to say. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this. But yeah, anyway, Marvin Harrison Jr. has 9 more yards than Hunter Henry this year.
Should we burn him?
So, that's a very long way of saying I would like to put Marvin
yeah.
Harrison Jr. in the bird book.
That's fair. Well, he should have had a touchdown according to half the people that I saw today.
Yeah, he should have. So should Alec Pierce. You know who has more yards than Marvin Harrison Jr.? Alec Pierce. That's what Marvin Harrison Jr. is this year. He's Alec Pierce with better branding.
Damn.
That's who he is.
Brutal.
We should set an alarm. We should put dates on the calendar for when we think Marvin Harrison Jr. will surpass Chris Godwin in yardage.
How many yards did Godwin have?
He needs Chris Godwin has 50 more yards than Marvin Harrison Jr. He's out for the season 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now you got me all sad thinking about my boy Chris.
I know.
R.I.P. Chris. Anyway, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. in the burn book. Oh, all right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jessie, for editing one hell of an episode. God, Carlos and Kai spend one day with their families, and then Craig's computer explodes because he made fun of Tom Brady one too many times, and now Jessie has to put this together. Thank you to AJ Hawk for not suing us, for superimposing your face onto Craig's for the remainder of this YouTube video. And thank you to everyone emailing us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com for fantasy court and trivia. But most of all, thank you to Lauren.
Lauren,
Thank you, Father John Misty.
I saw him live a month ago.
Nice. How was it?
He was very good. He opened for Casey Musgraves.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah. At the Forum. So
I've always meant to listen to Father John Misty, and then I never have. And I swear to God, it's definitely because I was always listening to these Kendrick albums at that time. I always spent a lot of time with the Kendrick
He's
album.
just
And I
been
do think
in-
that's why.
I like
Kendrick
Father
Shadow.
John. He's very lyrically whimsical. He's very kind of sarcastic and funny and
Is he
like
a
dark
priest?
humor.
What's the father thing all about?
I think he's just being ironic and hip,
Okay.
But he's good. Real Love Baby is his big hit song, and it is very catchy and good. It's actually unlike his other songs. It's a little too catchy. A lot of his songs.
Can you sing it so I can recognize it?
Is it I got or I want? I want the real love, baby. Ooh,
yeah.
baby. I
That's
got
Father
real
John
love.
Misty?
Yeah,
No. Wow.
great song.
I had no clue.
I'm
I
a
know that
flower, you're the bee. That song.
I did not know that was Father John.
Yeah.
Papa J?
Papa J missed.
For some
No
reason,
word
I
to
had it
Castellanos is
pictured in
gonna
my
do
head that he
something.
was singing really sad songs.
He
looks sad in all the album covers. He looks so sad.
He
It's
does
so-
kind of sing sad songs. He's like this, he's like this middle-aged man who has a lot of thoughts and seems like he has 4 glasses of whiskey and thinks about the world existentially every night.
Dude, all his album covers looks like he drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. over Saquon.
He drafted
fucking sad.
the wrong B. Robinson.
Yeah.
I was going to say, sounds like a podcast host. He's a middle-aged man who has a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
And he needs
Put
to,
him with
he
CJ
needs to get
Stroud.
him out.
My God. All right. Goodbye, everyone.